This story is a reflection of the struggles faced by many women in modern China who choose not to marry by their late 30s. The woman openly admits she's 39, unmarried, and considered a failure by her parents and neighbors. In her community, marriage is still seen as a duty, and women who don't marry are labeled as leftover or shameful. Yet, she proudly states that she is independent. She earns her own money, owns a house and car, and enjoys her freedom. From her perspective, not being married harms no one, but social judgment is relentless. Her parents feel humiliated, and the gossip from neighbors makes her feel like an outcast. This pressure shows how deeply rooted traditional expectations remain, even in a modernizing society. What makes the story more touching is her turning point during the pandemic. When she fell ill with COVID, she experienced loneliness in its harshest form, no one to care for her, no one to bring her water or check on her. In that vulnerable moment, her strong belief in independence wavered. She realized that marriage is not just about family pressure or social appearances, it can also be about companionship and care in times of need. However, even when reconsidering marriage, her standards remain practical and clear. She doesn't demand wealth or luxury, just stability, responsibility, and a caring partner. This shows her desire for security rather than blind compromise. The ending twist, her joking that this might just be a made-up story, adds another layer. It's as if she's saying, don't take it all too seriously. Maybe it's real, maybe it's just imagination. But whether real or fictional, it reflects a real dilemma faced by many women today between freedom and companionship, independence and social expectations.
This monologue is actually full of irony. At first, the speaker warns younger people to get married early because being older and single is supposedly miserable. But when you look closely at what they describe, it doesn't sound miserable at all. It almost sounds like freedom. They say they have no family expenses, so the money they earn is all for themselves. On days off, they can travel wherever they like. When hungry, they can enjoy all kinds of food: barbecue, roast goose, Japanese cuisine, dumplings, seafood, even street snacks. Their life is filled with choices and experiences that many married people with families might actually envy. Yet, the loneliness behind the words can't be ignored. Returning home to an empty house, no one to share dinner with, no one to wash clothes or care about them. This is the part that feels hollow. It's not about the money or the food, but about the absence of companionship. The sarcasm is clear. A life full of freedom and indulgence can still feel pitiful when there's no one to share it with. In reality, the message reflects a common social tension. Independence and marriage both have trade-offs: freedom versus stability, choice versus companionship. The speaker masks their longing for warmth with humor and irony, making their loneliness sound like a joke, but in truth, it reveals the very human need for connection.
This woman's words reflect a painful regret that many modern professionals, especially women, are beginning to express. She grew up in an era where independence and career success were promoted as the ultimate goals. Influenced by what she calls toxic chicken soup, she believed that men were unreliable, marriage was unnecessary, and true strength meant relying only on herself. For over a decade, she followed that path. She focused on her job, achieved financial stability, bought a car, and saved money. By society's professional standards, she is a success. Yet, in her own words, she feels harmed by those ideas because at 34 she looks around and sees others with families, children, and homes, while she returns each evening to an empty apartment with no one to talk to. Her achievements, once a source of pride, now feel hollow without companionship. What stands out here is the shift in values. Independence gave her freedom, but not fulfillment. Her story highlights the danger of extremes, pursuing only career at the cost of relationships, or dismissing marriage as unnecessary. It's not that independence is wrong, but independence without connection can lead to loneliness. Her conclusion is simple yet powerful: there is a time for everything. Work and self-growth are important, but so is love, marriage, and building a family. Waiting forever for the perfect moment or prioritizing career endlessly can mean missing the window to create a shared life. This is not just one woman's regret. It's a reminder to balance independence with relationships, ambition with intimacy, and to recognize that success is not only measured by what you own, but by who is there to share it with you.
This woman's confession captures one of the deepest fears of modern single life: loneliness in old age. At 42, she has no husband, no children, and she openly admits that the question of, who will take care of me if I'm sick or bedridden, haunts her. When she was younger, in her 20s and 30s, marriage and family didn't seem urgent. Like many, she believed time was abundant and that the right person would appear eventually. But as the years passed, reality set in. Instead of freedom bringing peace, it has left her feeling increasingly anxious, vulnerable, and isolated. Her words also highlight a sharp contrast in social attitudes. Friends tell her she should feel lucky. No children to burden her, no trivial arguments of marriage to deal with. On the surface, that sounds liberating. But her heart reveals the opposite. The absence of companionship doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like emptiness. Independence can shield you from responsibility, but it cannot protect you from loneliness. The fear of aging alone, of lying in a hospital with no one by your side, is not just her personal worry. It's a growing social issue in many parts of the world. Her story reminds us that while independence is valuable, human beings are not meant to live without connection. Career, money, and freedom may feel fulfilling in youth, but with age it is love, family, and companionship that give true security. In the end, her reflection isn't just about regret. It's a wake-up call. Life shouldn't only be about avoiding burdens, but about building bonds that make the burdens worth carrying.
This woman's words reveal the painful intersection of age, gender, and societal expectations in today's China. At 34, she feels trapped in a label, leftover woman, a term that unfairly reduces her worth to marriageability. Her loneliness is not just personal, but social. It's the stigma of being seen as undesirable once you pass a certain age. She reflects on her past with regret. In her 20s, she had confidence, time, and options. She believed love could be delayed, that opportunities would keep coming. Ironically, the very freedom she once enjoyed has now become her source of anxiety. Today, she feels overlooked, unwanted, and left behind, while peers her age are settled with families. What's most heartbreaking is her question at the end: would you choose a woman like me? It's not just a rhetorical plea. It shows how societal pressure has eroded her self-worth. Instead of valuing her education, experience, or independence, she measures herself through marriageability, as if her value expires with age. Her story is a powerful reminder that societal norms often push women into a narrow timeline of when they're allowed to marry and have children. Yet, true worth is not tied to age or status. While her regret is genuine, the deeper issue is how culture defines women's value more by marital status than by who they truly are.
This story is tragic not because the woman lost her health, but because society has tied her entire worth to fertility. At 39, she is described as excellent, educated, capable, attractive. Yet, the moment she learns she cannot have children, she feels as though her eligibility for marriage has been destroyed. The heartbreak is real. She cries not only for the loss of motherhood, but for the cruel reality that, in the eyes of traditional culture, a woman without the ability to give birth is seen as disqualified. It exposes how deeply rooted the expectation is that women must marry young and bear children, as if their entire purpose and value depend on it. What's even more striking is the contrast. This woman believes she was still in control, still able to wait for the perfect partner. But biology doesn't wait, and neither do societal pressures. Her story is a warning that independence and high standards alone cannot protect against time and its consequences. At a deeper level, though, the tragedy lies not in her inability to have children, but in the idea that she now sees herself as worthless because of it. This mindset reflects a cultural system that reduces women's worth to reproduction, ignoring the value of their character, accomplishments, and individuality. Her tears, then, are not just for her own loss, but for a society that made her believe she has nothing left to offer.